Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about chronicling family history. I'll be going through the process of how I put my book together, which is Expelled from Uganda, released earlier this year in May 2021. So here's a little bit about, what happened. In terms of the process, it was 90 days that was given to the South Asian community to pretty much grab their bags and leave. Unfortunately, it was a choice that nobody wanted to make, but if they decided against it, they would face execution. They would have pretty much lost everything. I rang Dad the next morning and I said, I'm going to write your story, Dad. It's got to be told. I've always known about the expulsion itself, but it wasn't until a particular moment happened and took place in March 2019. What happened was my motive and my catalyst came together. Now, I'm not a scientist, and I don't quite understand the scientific reasons behind why we write as human beings, but this is my understanding of it. I understand that if you've just got a motive to write, it can easily deflate and fall flat at any point if you don't have a catalyst to sort of help it along and fuse with it. Similarly and equally, if you have a catalyst, which is your passion, it's your urge to write something that you feel so passionately about or something that really moves you to your core, if you've not got a motive, sometimes that can fall flat as well. You really need two of these essential pieces to come together, to fuse together, in order to sort of float that story and really give it some power. If you're thinking of chronicling somebody's story and they are still around, or their children are still around, friends, family, whoever it is a very good idea to perhaps get this down on video, use an audio recorder. It's a great way to then go back. I was lucky because I had Dad on the end of a phone. I could always ring him and sort of say, Dad, what happened next? But that process was incredible. It just propelled me. I carried on recording all of his details in my notebook. It was done in small stages, and then eventually I immersed myself in the research because I realized, hang on a minute, I don't personally know anything about 1972. So quick tips on the writing process. It doesn't have to be linear. Obviously, have a go at different structures. Identify your fears when it comes to writing as well, because you have to address those before you start writing anything. If there are any fears that you have, start writing your fears down on a piece of paper, then address them one by one, because without putting those things aside, you can't fully immerse yourself in a creative process. So do address any fears you have, whether it's your own fear of writing, whether it's perhaps just part of your story, something that you're sort of on the edge about sharing or not sharing. Establish all that you need to establish before you go ahead and share. Your voice has to exist from the very beginning of your writing process. That is incredibly important. If you've got that strong presence within that first paragraph, then that's it, you've got your readers hooked. The main thing is, when you're accessing these stories, think about the reason why you're telling somebody's story. Think about the motive, think about the catalyst, and think about what value it could bring to other people. Because you've got to remember, as human beings, we love stories. We are natural storytellers. You might not think so yourself. You may doubt yourself. You might have fears or imposter syndrome and think, no, I can't do this. But you know what? Everybody is capable of telling a story. All you have to do is try to let go of your inner fears. Try to understand that you can pretty much do anything that you put your heart and mind to. If you can accept that, you can become an excellent storyteller. I'm not an author. I'm a lecturer. I guess I am an author now. It's hard to sort of accept that fact. You know, my imposter syndrome kicks in even now. But I immersed myself. I dedicated myself into learning about writing, into learning about how to sort of sculpt stories. And that helped me in telling my father's story. So if you are thinking about telling a story, it could be a fictional story as well, it could be perhaps something that's based on history but from a fiction aspect, then don't pull yourself back. Think about how you can put one step forward by just carrying out a small piece of research every single day in small stages, and perhaps, who knows, by telling your story you could change the life of somebody around you or somebody that you don't even know. But definitely tell that story. I'm so glad I did, because mine was, you know, belonging to my father. It was a huge story. It was an exceptional story, but one that so many can relate to now. And the children, especially of all these expats that came in 1972, will definitely look at this and think, thank God somebody told their story. We can relate to it, and now we want to tell ours. But yes, last words of wisdom, tell your stories, and don't be afraid of the writing process. It is what you make of it. Thank you so much, everyone.